Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Gizmo Joe. Today we're going to be taking a look at something very different for the channel, and that is this acoustic guitar. What's interesting about this one, the reason why I wanted to sort of feature it on the channel, is because I bought it off of eBay from a brand I had never heard of before. Those of you who have been following my channel for a little bit probably know that I do play the guitar. It is one of my favorite hobbies. I do sort of write my own music occasionally, and I do perform. I like playing bars and pubs and stuff, and yeah, so I really like collecting guitars. I like messing around and experimenting, getting different sounds, all that sort of stuff. Anyway, what I was looking for was essentially something that was small, basically a travel guitar, something that was 3/4 size, half size, and I stumbled upon this particular one from like I said, a brand I'd never heard of before, and I kind of tried to do some research. I always try to do heaps of research whenever buying a new instrument because they can be quite expensive. But I mean, there just was nothing about this guy, really. I mean, there was a couple YouTube videos, but basically they were resellers, just basically talking it up, didn't really give a lot of information, nothing about it. So that's what sort of prompted me to make this video. So I'm going to just do a quick sort of rundown of what this guy is and what you can expect if you are sort of in the market for a smaller sort of travel guitar. Anyway, let's take a look. Okay, everyone, so this is the Caraya Safair 34. Now, again, what is this brand? I don't know. I've never heard of it before. I just happened to stumble upon it on eBay. It looked cool, I have to admit. I have to say I do really like the look of this guitar, but I didn't know anything about it. It was pretty cheap. I got it on sale for about $150, which, I mean, if you play guitar, you know how expensive they can be, and this was fairly cheap. But is it any good? I don't know. But anyway, let's take a look at what this guy is made out of. So essentially the body here is all mahogany. So you have a mahogany top, you have mahogany sides, mahogany back. You also have a mahogany neck that goes all the way up. But the fretboard there is your more traditional rosewood. You also have rosewood down on the bridge, although the pins there are plastic. And also what I really like about this guitar and what sort of drew me to it is, again, I think it's a really nice looking guitar. I think it looks really cool. So the Rosewood Fretboard here has essentially these dot inlays. I thought that was really cool. I've never seen inlays that look like that before. Most of them are just solid dots, but those have those sort of cool sort of rings almost, and I just thought that that looked pretty cool. The other thing of note is obviously just here, you have this sort of laser etching. I'm not really sure what that is supposed to be. Maybe some sort of viney thorn thing. At first I wasn't crazy about that because I just thought it was an embellishment that was kind of tacky. But over time, I've said to myself, you know what? It does sort of add to the uniqueness of the guitar, and so therefore I can live with it. It's grown on me, put it that way. But I do really like the color of this guitar. I think it's a really, really nice looking guitar. Anyway, you might have noticed that there are electronics on board. And you can kind of see through the sound hole there. And obviously there is an input down here. So this means that this guy is, in fact, an acoustic-electric guitar. So you can plug this guy into an amp, you can plug him into your USB interface to do some recording, whatever you want to do, it can handle it. And it's also got an EQ and a built-in tuner. So as you can see here, you have just on the side of the guitar your sort of EQ and your tuner. Obviously that's powered by a 9-volt battery. And I find that the tuner is very accurate, and the EQ controls are also pretty responsive, very accurate. Could get the sound that you're after and the sort of tone that you're after with this guy. So all in all, pretty good. Now, the other thing that I really like about this guitar is the black tuning pegs. I think it just goes really well with the rest of the guitar, that sort of black, fretboard. It just looks cool. But these tuners are garbage. I want to replace mine. I find that it goes out of tune very quickly. It stays in tune pretty much while you're playing, but I just find that every time I pick the thing up, I have to tune it again. It just doesn't hold a tune. So I suspect it's because the sort of tuning pegs there, the machine heads or whatever you want to call them, they're just cheap, and so they tend to not be very good, I guess. But yeah, I will. That's a fairly cheap fix. I'll grab some different ones at some point down the track and replace those, and hopefully that will fix that issue. But other than that, I'm very happy with this guitar. It's a sort of, like I said, they call it the Caraya Safair 34 EQ. 34 is in relation to the 34-inch. I believe they also have a 36-inch model, and then obviously your standard 40-inch model. But I think that this is very attractive for the price, and I think it sounds really well as well. I'll obviously play a little bit for you guys so you can kind of hear how it sounds. But I'm actually really pleasantly surprised with the overall sound quality. It's got a pretty rich sound for its size. I always got to be careful because whenever you get travel guitars, they can sound a little bit tinny or a little bit hollow. But this one, handles sort of, those bass strings fairly well. And yeah, pretty happy with the overall sound. Again, it's obviously a steel string guitar, so you can pop whatever strings you want on there. These are just the default ones that came with it. I'm sure they're super cheap as well, but they sound all right, so I've left them on there. But I'll probably replace those strings at some stage as well. Now, like I said, I couldn't find much information about this particular guitar, although you can find some YouTube videos on it, mainly from resellers. I don't know if this guitar is available outside of Australia. I've only really seen it online from Australian resellers. So if you're overseas, you might have a hard time finding this guy. But if you can get your hands on one, it's pretty good value for money, in my opinion. Traveler guitars, especially if you get one from, a more reputable brand or whatever, can run you hundreds of dollars. And I mean, for something that, look, I don't know about you, I don't travel all that often with the guitar, but I wanted the option that if I had something small enough to bring with me and I was in a situation where I could bring it with me camping or something like that, then obviously that's what I want to bring. I don't want to bring my main guitar. It's too big and too bulky. But travel guitars can be really expensive for something that you only play every once in a while. So as long as something sounds halfway decent and doesn't break the bank, then I'm all for it. And so when I saw this guy for about $150, I said, you know what, I'm just going to pull the trigger and see how it is. And like I said, I've been pleasantly surprised so far. I should also mention here, because I forgot, that there is a truss rod in here, so you can adjust the truss rod if you choose to do so. And so that's always a good indicator that something's not complete junk. Like I said, I tried to do some research, and the brand itself, I couldn't really find it. I don't know if they have a website or what, but the general consensus online seems to believe that these are coming out of China. And, they're sort of mass-produced in a factory somewhere. And, yeah, they just ship them out under this sort of badge of Caraya, not really sure how to say that. But, they do the same thing with, Yamaha guitars and stuff as well, which can be quite good. So, I don't know. I'm not a guitar snob. I'm not a professional. I don't spend thousands upon thousands of dollars on my guitars. I try to find value for money. And for me, for something that I play every so often, that if it got lost or damaged or whatever, I wouldn't really care. This little guitar is a great solution for those things. So if you're in the market for something that is relatively inexpensive, sounds pretty good, and is small. Check this one out. Anyway, let's take a look and hear how it sounds.